Hi friends! Alright, so final part 3, and so I had run into a couple of technical difficulties and I had to basically scrap part 3 that I had recorded when I was doing part 2. So you'll probably be seeing like a different color, which is like this pretty blue color, and I had to rewatch part 2 to make sure that I like transition into this one correctly. So this one I'll be teaching you how to join the sleeves onto the body and the edging. So edging on the bottom and on the front. So we're gonna get into it. I'm also going to add a couple of notes onto this video where I know that a couple of my testers have been running into some tension issues. So in the pattern, you'll see that I use a G-hook, 4mm for my edging. You'll probably notice that if your tension is pretty tight, and if you're, let's say if your squares, you had upped like a hook size, I would suggest upping the hook size also for the edging. That way you could avoid the curling and it's more relaxed. This will avoid you needing to block your garment when it's done. So you can still like steam block it just a little bit, just to like relax your stitches a bit at the end, but this is just to avoid that. But we're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna try to move my tripod here. I'm in my dining room, on my dining room table still, so, and I still don't know how to look into this lens, so all right, we're gonna get started. Okay, so we're going to add the sleeve onto the body. I have one of my sleeves here, and this is one side of the body. I wish my camera was up higher, but it's not. This is just so it's easier for me to zoom in, but this is where the top seam is. I did not tuck in my ends, as you can tell here, because it was just a quick put together here, and this is where the bottom is. So I can probably scooch this over so you can see this is my front panel. All right, and in the pattern, I basically will tell you that you can count up the stitches and put a stitch marker on, I believe it's like, I think it's like 27th stitch or whatever. However, I don't like counting, so there is a simpler way to do this for both the shorty and the tall cardi. So basically the sleeve is going to have a half of a square on the bottom, basically like this, because we're going to want to line up the top seam, or top, whatever you want to call this. I keep losing words here. This top join to the top joint of the shoulder, but technically this is a part of the sleeve as well. So this first square here is actually the shoulder. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so we want this to be joined together, and this is like a half of a square here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the middle half double crochet from this square. So you know how there's like a treble here from this corner, there's a double and then a half double crochet cluster. So we're gonna find the middle one of this one, and if you want you could put a stitch marker here, and then we're gonna also find on the second square from the top, we're gonna find the middle half double crochet from this cluster, because it's the treble, double, half double crochet. We can put a stitch marker here if you need to. So I will do that just so I know that there might be some people who will need to do that. I don't necessarily need to, but I know some people will. So this is my middle one from the second square, and then I'm gonna find the middle one from this one, which is right here. All right, so now that's marked, we're good to go. I'll just kind of put this aside for a moment because we're going to start joining this edge here, and then we're gonna keep joining until we reach the stitch marker. These two pieces, so the front and the back on the side. Let's see if I can find my crochet hook. I wasn't very prepared. I was like, oh, I gotta do this in a hurry. My baby girl is sleeping and we're gonna do this. So let me sit down because I'm still standing. So we're basically joining just how we've been doing. So I just kind of invert my pieces like this, just so it's easier for me to like see my squares. I'm going to put a slip knot on our hook, like so, and shimmy that yarn under so we make sure it stays under, just like we've been doing the whole time. So we're going to join this side until we get to that stitch marker. And hopefully by now you become somewhat more accustomed to joining, that this is a little bit easier and quick for you. If not, you know, maybe if you keep practicing, if you keep making them, it'll come to you. I've been joining granny squares for a very long time, so this is just like second nature for me. So we're just gonna keep going up this side. And my goal, my ultimate goal for this part is to try staying in the frame. That is definitely an ultimate goal here. So let's see if I could do that. All right, almost to where my little nibbies, I call these niblets sometimes, I don't know why. Join. I'm just gonna tie that knot like we have been doing. And I'll zoom in once I get to my stitch marker so you can see what I do next. Probably should have silenced my phone because it's now vibrating next to me. But I'm almost to my stitch marker. Uh-oh, my yarn split. Remember how I said that this part of yarn likes to split? Yeah, this color split way more than that orangey color I had in the previous video for some reason. I'm unsure why. Okay, so getting to my stitch marker. Okay, so once you get to your stitch marker, I'm gonna zoom in, see if I can do this. I know I can. I've been doing this for 2 videos now. Haha. Okay. So once you get to your stitch marker, oh, my yarn is all tangled up here. Okay. You're going to join where this stitch marker is and the stitch marker is, and you're going to forget about this back panel for now. So this back panel now is not going to be joined, and we're just going to be joining this sleeve, just this, the front side of this tube. I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this back hump like we've been doing, the back loop of that stitch marker and then the back loop of this stitch marker. To join. Where's my yarn? Where's the working yarn? There it is. Okay. And slip stitch. So now we're just going to be joining the front panel from the body of the cardigan and the front side of the sleeve. So we're just going to continue up, and if you want, you can, these are going to probably distract me, so I'm just going to remove this stitch marker just so my slip stitches are even. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook here, just in the front of this sleeve, not the back of it. We're going to leave those alone, and we're going to join. We're going to keep going up. And just make sure that you're even. So even, when I'm saying even, I mean, so, oh, I split again. That you're joining with the partner stitch on the other side. So if I'm going into this middle treble stitch, make sure you're going into this middle treble stitch on this side. That's how you know that your join is even and that you're not like crooked in any way. Because that can happen. You might end up like missing a stitch somewhere behind there, or you missed a chain. That can happen sometimes. So just keep that in mind. And then I'm gonna keep going up here. I'm gonna have to tie here. I lost control of my yarn. I'm gonna tie this. Just so we can go over it. We're gonna go into this, the chain that wasn't worked in, like we've been doing. I'm gonna scooch this down just so I'm still in frame. And we're gonna keep going around until we get to that back panel. Oh, come on. And you're gonna probably notice you're gonna have to basically rotate your entire cardigan just a bit, just so you can get to that back side. So you'll end up having to pull up a loop in a minute, just so you can readjust, which I'm gonna have to do now. So now I'm gonna put these stitch markers off to the side. So let me just zoom out real fast. So I'm almost to the top here of the seam, but before I tie my little knot like I normally do, I'm just gonna kind of rotate my work, but I don't want to mess up my yarn because it's so neat. Okay, so I basically flipped my cardigan around just so I could see the back. So you see how this is the back panel, or the big back panel, and this is the back of the sleeve. So now, let me just make sure this yarn is still behind. I'm gonna tie that top seam. Tie it, just so it's secure. Make sure I have my yarn. Make sure I'm still in frame. And we're gonna continue on. Hop over. Ooh. And then we're going to go all the way down until we get to the armpit. Let me see if I can zoom in for you, for those who still like to follow along. Okay, and it does get tricky when we get to the armpit, quote unquote, because we basically have like nowhere to hold. So tie these knots, make sure my yarn was behind. Work in this chain. Hop over. Okay, I'm gonna sort of rotate my work here a bit just so you can see my opening. So this is where we started, where the sleeve connected to the front. And this is where like technically our armpit is. So continue. Ooh. See if I could get that in there. And you should have an even amount of stitches. All right, so now I'm in my last stitch. And if you feel like you like missed a stitch back here and you're like already here, don't worry, it's okay. These are handmade, so you can always like join in too if you need to. I feel like I used to do that on granny square blankets. So this was my last stitch. Let me just make sure I show you. So there's one here and one here. It's basically that last half double crochet. So I'm gonna join. Oh, hold on. It wasn't that one. Yikes. Why am I all over the place here? Don't mind me. Hold on. But my yarn is split here. Okay. So last join here. Last half double crochet right here. My yarn was split here, so don't mind me. Yarn through. We're just gonna do the regular slip stitch. And so you'll kind of see that there's a hole here still. And so what I do is that I actually put my crochet hook through here. Let me see if I can loosen this up a bit. Okay. So I kind of go diagonal to close this hole. Into that slip stitch right there. Basically, I think it's just this first one that we did. And then I slip stitch that shut. And I pull tight. And then I fasten off. And then that hole should be gone. Let me see if I have scissors. I do. I'm gonna cut this off. And then that's your armpit. So there should be all together here. So right underneath the arm. But that is how you add the sleeve and basically close off the edge of your cardigan. I think, hold on, I just misplaced my hook. There you go. I don't wanna do that. All right, so we just attached the sleeve onto the cardigan. And if you were one of those that decided to skip the cuff adding onto the sleeve, this would be the perfect time to try on the cardigan, basically measure it out and see how long you want to do your cuff, and then jump over to that page to do your cuff. And you basically are just going to attach it to, I would basically attach it to any stitch. You can, it doesn't really matter which stitch you attach it to be quite frank. Just make sure you attach it pretty firmly to any stitch and then go around. It doesn't really matter. And then make your cuff so you don't forget. And then we're going to, I'm actually going to attach my other sleeve onto the other side because I have to do that. I actually didn't even finish the other sleeve. This is what it looks like right now. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and show you how to add the bottom edging, because you'll do the bottom edging first before you add the front edging. And as you can tell in the pattern, the edging and the cuffs and stuff like that, it's all maker's choice. So you can decide if you want to make them longer, if you want to make them shorter, if you want to make them more relaxed, if you don't want to make them this tight, if you want to make them like looser, totally up to you. So if you don't want to follow my instructions that I'm doing here, just refer back to the pattern and just read the instructions and see how you can modify it to fit your body, or how you want it to be made, or how maybe your customer wants it to be made. So that's just letting y'all know, but I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So I have both of my sleeves attached and my sides of my cardigan are seamed and everything is done. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the bottom edging. I love how my camera is still like really close, but I do that on purpose so I can zoom in, so don't mind me. We're gonna do the bottom edging. I'm gonna show you how to start that. So I'm gonna just flip my cardigan with the collar or the front of the cardigan facing me. And we're gonna start on the bottom edge of the front panel. And I typically like to attach my yarn to that third, or not third, I keep saying third. Hey, this is fun. Middle chain, that middle chain here. So we're going to just attach our yarn here, and you are going to chain however many you want, if whatever you decided that you wanted to chain, but I'm going to chain the same amount as I chained for this cuff, which I believe I chained 19. So I'm going to chain 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I like my cuffs and my bottom edging to be the same size. That is just my preference, so you can decide what you'd like to do. And so we're basically going to do the same thing we did for the cuffing, for the bottom edging, and for the front edging. So it's basically the same concept. And the cinching, like the slip stitching towards like the left on the stitches, that's completely up to you as well. So I have to be right back because my camera is actually dying, of course. So I'm gonna have to plug it in, so I'll be right back. Wow, that was probably no time at all for y'all, but anyway, I had to go and grab the charger. It's like a handy dandy like portable charger. Anyway, okay, so well, as I was saying, the cinch part, so where we slip stitch to the left like we were doing for the cuff to keep like that cinch, I would suggest not to do it so much on the bottom edging. That what will cause the bottom of the cardigan to like really cinch in, and it's like gonna hug your waist. So I would suggest like maybe just slip stitching 2. I believe that's what I wrote in the pattern. And I also just relax your tension. So I have a looser tension. I believe I prefaced that in the pattern. So I know some of my testers were also letting me know that their tension is tighter than mine. So I think if you need to go up a hook size, maybe a 4.5 millimeter or a 5 millimeter hook, just to like relax the stitches so it's not so cinched and not so tight, and it will basically, how would I say this? How would I word this? Wow, I had a brain fart. I feel like this entire pattern is a brain fart, but it will basically like deter from the edging from curling. So, and then you basically don't need to block or steam your cardigan, but if need be, you can just like lay it flat. You can steam it with an iron or a steamer, whatever you have, just to kind of relax your stitches a bit. And obviously with wearing it with time and pulling it and with the weight of the cardigan itself, it should drape a little bit easier, and if not easier, it would drape a little bit nicer on your body. So anyway, so we're gonna single crochet down this chain that we just did, skipping that first chain. So we're gonna single crochet the second chain from the hook all the way down to the body, and then as for me, I'm gonna slip stitch 2. So again, I do crochet loosely, so just keep that in mind. If you need to go up a hook size, if you feel like your stitches are too tight, totally fine. And you can tell that mine kind of curls a little bit here, but as I add the front edging to this piece, it's not going to curl. So there you go. So once I get to my body, let me zoom in. I'm going to slip stitch 2 over. So this chain next to that middle chain that we did, it's considered a stitch. So I'm going to, go away. I'm going to slip stitch in here, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next one. And I'm not going to chain like we've been doing like we did in the cuff. So I'm not going to chain. I'm just going to turn. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to single crochet in the back loops only down this strip. So single crochet in the back loops only. We're basically skipping those 2 slip stitches, okay? I believe I wrote that in the pattern as well. I always forget to say that. So skip those 2 slip stitches. Do not single crochet into those slip stitches. Going to go down. Oop. Wow. See, I have such a loose tension that sometimes I lose track of my yarn. Okay. Then we're gonna chain one at the end. And we're gonna turn. And we're gonna continue that. Whoa, my charger port, go away, go away. And we're gonna continue this all the way around the bottom edge. So I'm gonna go back down, back loops only. However many you chained is how many single crochets or -1 you'll have, because that extra chain that you did in the beginning is, we're gonna skip that over. So for example, I chained 19, but I should have 18 single crochets total. Down my little line here. And I'm gonna slip stitch 2 over. I'm not gonna slip stitch into the stitch that was already been slip stitched. We're gonna skip this one. So we're gonna slip stitch into, let me just make sure I did slip stitch into that one. Okay, slip stitch into the one next to it. And slip stitch into that next to it. And if you want it more cinched or more relaxed, so more relaxed with just slip stitch 1, you would have to slip stitch 1. If you don't, then you're not going to continue on. So you have to slip stitch 1, then there'll be more rows, more repeats. If you want it more cinched, like a more of a huggable waist, I would slip stitch maybe 1 more, like slip stitch 3. I wouldn't go more past 3. That's just a suggestion. But you can totally try and experiment how many you like to slip stitch, and then you can always just frog it and restart. But that's always like the joy of crocheting, so you can always frog it if need be. So I'm going to continue this regimen all the way around the bottom, and then once I get all the way around, I will show you the front edging. So I will be right back. Hopefully my daughter sleeps through this. If not, I'll be back a little bit later then, or my husband will have to take her outside or something, because she loves when I have this camera out, and she just wants to just hang out and like talk, and she'll probably say cheese, and we don't need that. But yeah, I'm gonna continue going around, and then I'll be right back with the front edging. All right, I'm back. I just finished, or I didn't finish yet, but I finished all the way down the bottom edging. I'm here at the end, and I figured I'd show you guys how I finish off. So I'm going to zoom in, and I actually frogged what I did with you guys. I ended up wanting to slip stitch 3. I had reread my pattern notes. I do cinch my waist slip stitch 3, not 2. So I had brain farted there, so oops. But yes, I did slip stitch 3. And but yeah, anyway, so I end on the middle chain of the opposite side of your front panel here, and I actually ended on a perfect amount of slip stitch 3. So if you end up on an uneven number, that's totally fine. It's very normal and okay. It just basically depends on how many you slip stitch. So I'm going to turn my work here, and I'm going to complete this single crochet, repeat here, and then I'm gonna go right back to the body, and I'm gonna fasten off. Hopefully I'm still in frame. I'm trying to learn my lesson here, guys. Ooh. Alright, I'm gonna chain one here and turn. I'm gonna finish off here. I'm gonna do one more row of single crochets. Watch me get off the frame here. Oh boy, I saw that. One more row of single crochets. And then I'm going to slip stitch back into this last slip stitch that we just did and fasten off. So wherever we slip stitched our last slip stitch from the cinch, that's where I'm just gonna fasten off. Ooh, I slipped right in there. Just to keep it secure. Got my scissors. Voila! So my bottom edging is done. I will show you what it looks like. Let me just zoom out. So if you are, like if you have a tighter tension, you'll probably notice that like maybe your edging curls like this. See, like maybe mine might stay like that, but I do crochet at a looser tension, so mine doesn't really curl. It kind of stays pretty flat. So if you do end up noticing that, I would go up a hook size, or you can always put just a little bit of water, steam block it if you like, just to like relax the yarn a bit. That's kind of normal when you crochet tightly, so mine does stay pretty flat. So like I said before, if it does start to curl or if you feel like you're crocheting too tight, go up a hook size. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and start the front edging. So now that we've finished the bottom, you can basically pick any side, but whatever side that we finished on, I just start on that side because it's already closest to me. I just kind of end and then I attach my yarn right over here. So I'm gonna grab my yarn. Oh, I actually have another skein, but it's okay. It's the scrap yarn. So we're going to attach our yarn right into that first single crochet that we made from that last round of single crochets. I can zoom in, and then you can decide if you want your front edging to be as thick as your bottom edging, or if you prefer it to be a little bit thinner. It's totally up to you. As for me, I think I like mine like in between. So I think for this one, I'm going to chain 14. I think that's where my happy place is for the front edging. So that's what I'm gonna do. You guys can decide. You guys actually can just throw this on right now, like try it on, see how wide you want it, and then go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and chain 14, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Whoa, that was my phone. And it's gonna be the same concept. So now we're going to be going around the front. So yes, we're gonna be working on the bottom edging first, and then we're gonna end up on the squares around, and then we're gonna finish off right over here. So we're gonna single crochet in second chain from the hook. Ooh. And I think for the front, I slip stitched 2, if I'm not mistaken. I love how I don't have my notes in front of me. I probably should have my notes in front of me, or the actual pattern. I believe it's 2 that I do for the front, because I don't want the front to like bunch up. So I think I just do 2. So if I'm wrong, I'll put a note here, but I think it's just 2. 1 and 2, and then I turn, and then I go on, I skip these 2 slip stitches that we just did, and I crochet, single crochet in the back loops only, up. I guess this is the ribbing. I was about to call it edging. The ribbing. You basically continue the same, it's the same idea that we just did on the bottom. It's the same thing we're doing for the front. It's just you decide how wide you want the seam to be, or edging to be. Why did I say seam? How wide you like it to be. That's all a personal preference. So, and sometimes, let's say if you made it and you're like, oh, I want it a little bit wider, you can always just take it apart and just do it all over again. Whoa, my phone. I probably should just, I think I said this before, I probably should have put it on silent, but I forgot to do that. So I'm gonna continue this around, and maybe I will update y'all when I finish this. It might be on another day. I have a couple things I need to finish today. But I can actually grab a finished cardigan so you can see what it looks like. I might do that, and I'll be right back. And then we'll be all done with this video. And you will be all done with your cardigan, hopefully. And hopefully this wasn't too painful to watch. And I'm so glad I was able to, you know, help and put this pattern together for you guys. It was actually quite fun for me. This pattern was definitely something challenging, yet very exciting for me to put together. It definitely was something that I needed to, like, research, I guess. I don't know. I'm not familiar with certain terms and stuff like that, so it was fun. Anyway, I'm gonna stop babbling now, and I'm just gonna put this down. But this is basically the beginning of my front edging, and I'm gonna come back with the other cardigans I have finished, and then I'll show you what they look like finished. And I also have some tags that I will be offering on my other small shop that I do run with my husband, so I'll show you those as well. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So these are what they look like. So this is the front edging look like. This was the original one that I did make. This is the tag that I will be offering on our website. Our website is Pate Studios on Etsy. So it does say Scrappi Cardi, and on the back, I will fix this, but when you flip it over, it does have the care instructions. So it does say, please take care of me. But you could edit this part, and it could be handmade by whoever. And I can put the size if you'd like. This size in particular is a shorty, and it is equivalent to an adult medium large. So this one's the original one. That is the one that I did make in part 2. So this one is the Party Yarn Canyon with Sunset. Super pretty. And I made it with like the peach color. And then this one is the tall version. It's actually much longer, and I haven't tucked in my ends on that one. But these are the 3 for sure that I've completed so far. I do have a couple more that I haven't put all of the pieces together. They're just like in a basket. But yeah, that is basically it. So cool, huh? So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope they give this a thumbs up. And well, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.